Have you ever noticed how many similarities there are between Baroque music and old classical music and some of the newer pop songs? I love finding connections like these with my students because making connections and particularly comparing music that they might be learning with music that they're listening to and the similarities can really deepen a student's understanding of music in general. So in today's video, I'm going to show you some connections that you can make with your students between music written 300 years ago and music that was written only 10, 20, 30 years ago. Okay, so how many of you know this tune? The first one we're going to have a look at. It's Solfeggio by C.P. Bach. Most of you have probably taught it. And I've had students play this way faster than that, and you miss a lot of the chord and harmonic structure when you play it too fast. But I've actually circled the key section of this piece, which I want you to have a look at now, and that is this bit. So we've got a C minor chord, we've got an F minor chord, we've got a B flat major chord, and we've got an E flat major chord. And if I play them separately, let me bring them up on screen for you. We've got something that actually automatically sounds a little bit like pop music. And anyone who's been alive in the 80s or 90s will recognise that piano riff. Let me show you one place that it was used very popularly.
Hiya, Bobby.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go for a ride?
Sure, Ken.
Jump in.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Imagination, life is your creation.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Okay, let's not put up with any more of that song, but here's the music for Barbie Girl. What have we got? C minor, F minor, B flat, and E flat. There's not much a stronger connection you could possibly make between music that was written in the 1700s and the music of today than that very pop chord progression. Let's now take a look at another one. So, is anyone familiar with this chord progression? Of course, this is Pachelbel's Canon in D major. And yes, this was written around 1680, but you still hear this progression today in many, many places. Let me show you just one of them. So here are the two chord progressions lined up one above each other. Canon in D, written in 1680, and I've transferred this, or transposed it I should say, to the key of C major for comparison purposes. And you can see the chord structure there: C, G, A minor, E minor, F, C, F, and G. The only difference in Go West, which was originally by the Village People in the 70s, and then that version I just played was Pet Shop Boys in the 1980s. The only difference is a substitution of the D minor 7 for the F chord, but in actual fact, I haven't actually changed the score on the page. But you can see that there's only a very slight difference. And that's the Go West chord progression. So again, could we get any more clearer comparison? Let me show you one other person who has used the Canon in D progression, this time in a remix.
Now I see places and faces and things things you ain't never thought about thinking. If you ain't
Now, for most teachers, rap, hip-hop's not going to be the style of music that you particularly like listening to, but that does take me straight back to my teenage years. That was Coolio, See You When You Get There, using the exact Canon in D progression. Now, I just want to make one other connection to this progression. If you take out just one of those chords, the F sharp minor, and use these four chords that are on your screen now, so we've got D major, A major, B minor, and G, we have one of the most common chord progressions used in popular music today. And there are plenty of videos on YouTube showing you just how many songs use this one. For example, if I transpose it into C, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Exactly the same chord progression, more or less, minus one chord, as Canon used in the 1680s. If the Beatles use it, it must be pretty good, right? And let me finish now with one final comparison. Most of you will know this little tune, written about 1800. I would love to play more of it, but we don't have time today. That was written about 1801. Let's compare it to a piece of music written in 2011. It's called Someone Like You by Adele, and most of you will probably recognize it. And if you didn't quite get the similarities, let's have a look at them juxtaposed next to each other. We have very similar broken chord patterns in the right hand. We've got a descending left hand lower note movement, which of course is incredibly popular in so much music out there. But just having a look at those two, written 200 years apart, and the similarities are outstanding. So make those connections with your students. I can guarantee you're going to have a lot of fun doing it, and you're going to find hundreds more comparisons like I've just made today. So I hope you enjoyed that little look and comparisons. I know when I've presented this in workshops and on webinars before, a lot of people have laughed at the similarities that I've been able to find. And there are heaps more out there, of course, because the roots of good music haven't changed a lot in 200-300 years, maybe even more. So what's the actual moral? Well, if you are a teacher or a student of music, then realize that there is a heap that we can learn from the music of the past. And it's not all just old stuff that we should be forgetting about. There is lots and lots of depth. If you're a teacher and you're trying to find connections between the pop music that students want to learn and the classical music that you would like them to learn, then here's a great way of bridging that connection. And finally, if you want to write the next best pop song, well, all you have to do is look at maybe 2 or 3 chord progressions that so many of the pop songs of the past have been built on. And I have heaps of ideas around that and how you can teach it, or if you're a student, how you can learn them in my article, and there's a link to that below this video. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and if you've got any other suggestions of connections that you've been able to make between old and new music with your students, then please leave a comment below. Hey everyone, it's Tim here, and if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then what are you waiting for? Make sure you hit the subscribe button on this page now. And if you're a piano teacher around the world looking for support and guidance as you build your studio and perhaps teach a little bit more creatively and know what to do when students bring in those pop songs that you're not too sure how to teach, then make sure you check out my InnerCircle piano teaching community. We're ready and waiting for you to join us. There's a link on this page to click.